So at this stage, I'm just kind of going through the comic and trying to find some movement that I like for my character. Does she attack him in this one? I don't remember. Yes, she does. But she's got more of a flying movement with her lance. But I think I can use some of this. Yeah, like that there. Spoilers, by the way, if you were going to read Groken. So I want to show her going up against the bigger one here. Like he's just charging in. And then we'll have the leading line of maybe the devil pointing. And then as they scroll down. So I guess if the devil's pointing... we need my hand model so I can know what I'm looking at here. He'd be pointing with his right hand. So... yeah, more like that. If you make mistakes like this, the small ones, doesn't matter. Not a big deal. So here I want a little more of what I'm kind of looking for. These sketches don't have to be too terribly detailed, but you definitely want to know what's happening when you come back to them. Because otherwise it's just going to be kind of a nightmare. So yeah. Something like that. I love how I pull out my reference model here. Like I pull this out and then immediately I'm just like, all right, I know how to draw hands well enough. And then draw like this monstrosity, but it's totally fine. So like we'll show him kind of like almost an above view because we're almost fish-eyeing this. Whereas like we've got them here and then he'll be here pointing like that maybe. Or do I like the back view better? I like the back view better. So draw a little bit of perspective. Show that. But then Eric will be left. So sometimes I'll draw these little squares here. I should say cubes. Because they're three-dimensional, so they're cubes. I know that. And that'll help me with understanding what perspective I'm going for later on when I draw this out. And this is in no way the final concept. I will sketch this out 3 or 4 more times before I go to the penciling phase. Or at least as I should. Sometimes it's just like, I've got this, and I'll just jump right into pencils. Sometimes it's for the better, sometimes it's not so good. Because, you know, your ideas flow differently in this idea phase versus when you're trying to work on the actual comic. So he's going to get dropped here on the floor. Now the careful balance here is I do not want Eric to seem weak. I need him to still contribute to this fight, but he is definitely not, you know, gonna be the tank in this fight. He's gonna be more of the support unit. So let's see if we can't get him a pose that kind of shows that. This is why I buy action figures. Not just because I like playing with them, because I do like playing with them, but also because it can help me kind of visualize a pose as I'm working, so maybe something like that. I'd like it better if I could show him like recovering from the pose, like he's like coughing up blood or something like that. Girl needs more flexibility. Come on, man. There you go. Still stiff. This, by the way, is the McFarlane toys. If I keep looking over like this, it's because I'm looking at my camera that I have over there where I can see myself. My display, I should say. This is the McFarlane toys Witcher 3 Geralt. I don't know what version or how rare it is, but I got it because it had swords and because I like the Witcher series. So I knew that I would enjoy the figure, but then it would also be pretty helpful for most things. So what if like he's like rubbing his face like that? Yeah, so like say in this one, so we're gonna have, he's like curious. They aren't after me because they're all after a Feldrin suddenly, and they're not after Eric, even though Eric is like this guy who has, you know, thousands of millions of like sins branded to his soul, so that he should be like the tastiest meal on the menu, but for some reason that's not the case. So he's going to be there doing that. And I know like these sketches aren't that good, but that's the point. The idea here is that, okay, so I have a head, very basic. I have an arm, and then I have kind of a prompt over here. So then later, when I come back and I say, okay, what do I have planned for panel 4? I'll look at this, and I'll look at this, and I'll be like, oh, okay, I can kind of piece together. Or if I can't piece it together, I will at least have a good enough idea of where I was thinking initially. I keep getting distracted. Like, I try to look at the camera to present and be a professional presenter, but then I'm just like, where do I want Eric next? Like, it'd be neat if... Yeah. We need to show his point of view here now. So, let's shift back to what the demons are doing. I need to get... They make a Marvel Legends Venom, but like it's like the Venom Space Knight and Mania. And I love that set because Mania is like really, really skinny and like petite compared to like this huge, like hunking Venom. Huge hulking. He's not hunking. Although, I don't know. It depends on what you're into. But, cut that part. Venom is more hulking. He's more, you know, muscular and large. He's like, I think he's about like 8-10 inches or so tall. So like, that would be a fun figure to mess with. But let's show like the Brute, who's this demon here. We've got a Brute and we've got the Devil. And I don't think we're gonna have any more imps. I've been drawing imps in the past couple comics and I don't want to draw them anymore. And also I'm gonna say that like they're too weak, so I'm gonna say they're dead. So let's have him. This is where those joints, yeah, show off. So he's gonna be like big and hulking and coming in. Oh, it'd be cool if, that'd be cool. Okay. Gwen. It's a Spider-Verse Gwen Stacy I picked up. Marvel Legends. Let's have her like, I know you can't see it. Wait, can you see it on this camera? Can't really see it, but basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to have her over top of him, kind of like that. Like he's tried to swing and she's jumped over his attack. So what if this is what it looks like being a comic book scripter, you know, just like, yeah, fight. This is what the job is sometimes. Oh man, and I could have anatomy models, but like, I do have anatomy models, but I also like having these flexible models to help me pose out. Like what if, yeah. I like the idea of having him like bring down a great big punch like this. How do you get good at posing? You just like, you fiddle around. Also, like if you've got, you know, comic books ready to go, with like a lot of great poses in it, that'll help. Which a lot of that's all up here. So I used to read something like 40 comic titles a week, and those were just the new ones that were coming out. I was also reading, like, I think usually one or two longer running series that were already completed. So, and that was comics and manga, so I was getting a lot of influences from a lot of different places. I didn't do that as much after Marvel Now happened, because I was reading a lot of Marvel comics, but then Marvel Now happened and we lost a lot of the better Marvel titles, and they were all kind of replaced. And at that point I started reading more manga, and then eventually I didn't read as many Western comics, and then eventually I started just picking up books in bookstores, because I was reading everything digitally. But then I was like, you know what, let's start reading some of these more classic books. And so I started picking up some of the older comics. I've got a few Marvel comics I still want to read, like the Guardians of the Galaxy, Brian Michael Bendis's run. I never stopped reading Daredevil. I enjoy his line. Well, I say I never stopped. I'm behind on the current run, which I need to get back into. Okay, so let's have... And this is the thing with the vertical scrolling comics. Can you see that on the GoPro? I want to see if you can see it. I have to look at my GoPro. I'm going to push this up actually for you. So let's draw his figure. Let's have his one fist right here. And this big kathum. So if I think of a good sound effect, I just write it out. So kathum. Panel 5. You can see I'm still trying to figure out my how to write in print rather than cursive. I'm trying to break that habit, but it's tough when that's all you learned. So there's his great big fist. His little fist will be over here. And then let's actually have her like, oh, even better. Yeah, what she's doing, like a somersault. Yeah. So let's see. Sometimes I will say, the toys will do things that humans can't do. So what you need to do is, at that point, pull up references if you think that what you're doing, won't work out. But like for this stage, it's okay. Yeah, so like from my perspective, it looks kind of like this. This is what I'm looking for. So like when I'm drawing, I will hold out the figure in a way so I can kind of get the silhouette idea of what I'm going for. Oh, this is going to be super fun to draw later. I can tell. Yeah, so like if he's bringing the punch this way, actually, yeah, let's push our perspective like this. And it's just it's figuring these panels out one by one. Just taking your time and figuring it out, because you're not gonna know. So he's gonna be swinging there, so she's going to be dodging like so, kind of like in a spiral motion. There's her head. There's her arm. Her sword arm is gonna be somewhere back here because she wasn't able to slice. Or maybe like there's gonna be a bit of a stream of blood. Yeah. And if you like a certain pose, just take your phone, wherever I've put my phone. It's on the charger because it's got no battery. And then just like snap a picture of it really quickly so that you can find it later. I kind of like the idea of her more skipping back, like, no. The thing with like a Feldrin's personality, whenever she's fighting, she's very flamboyant and just open. So like every time you watch like videos on fencing or stuff, it's like, oh, you want, your close stance stuff. No, she's like the opposite of that. And I know it's unrealistic, but that's kind of the point of it. Like she can do these things because everything, she can break the rules because she has magic, and so much magic because she's a sorceress. Or a sorcerer from like D&D, where it's like you're born with magic and you just kind of have unlimited spell slots, or at least a lot of them. So let's see, let's make some more notes. So Brute charges. Feldrin rushes in. Sometimes the directions help. And then Devil, who has a name, I just don't remember what it is. It's in one of the scripts. It's not on top, I won't worry about it. Devil points / curses Blood Veil name. And the Blood Veil, in case I didn't make it clear yet, is basically the organization that a Feldrin, works for, that serves the Raven Queen, who's the goddess of death. So the Blood Veil is one of the themes that we were talking about earlier. So the Blood Veil is something that we're going to expound more upon in this chapter. So I want to make sure early on, okay, the Blood Veil gets mentioned here. So we want to make sure that we can explain what that is, and we can also maybe, through that explanation, understand a Feldrin's character a little bit more, understand the world around us, understand why I'm dropping all my toys. I need to have a third camera where I just show toy vision. It's like me, what I'm working on, and then toy vision. Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. All right, so Cthulhu, Scheme, Eric, oh, that's under Eric. I need him to wipe the blood a little bit more clearly. And you may find that, like, in working on your own comic, it's better for you to draw on bigger, on bigger sticky notes or something like that. I have a friend who I just got off the phone with. He's working on, like, this size, sticky notes. And for him, that works. I'm glad that he's, doing that. But for me, I feel like that's way too much space to, like, obsess over drawings. Whereas I just need, like, this simple idea. Kind of like how this is looking. I think for now that'll work. So let's go to the next page. So I can usually fit about, I think it's 6 per page. Don't curl on me. I'm not allowed to. Alright, so this is panel, I didn't check, 7? Nope, this is panel 6. So I guess I can only fit 5. No, there's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Did I miscount? Boys and girls, let's count how many panels I have, one by one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sometimes your brain's just focused on other things. And then sometimes you're just dumb. All right. Panel. I can't believe I can't count how many panels I've got. It's obvious. It's super obvious. All right. You notice that I'm not immediately writing the numbers on these because I might put more than one panel on here. The only reason I would do that is just because, like, if I've got a box So for instance, I better show this. Here I've got this box here where we've got our punching demon, and then we have a Feldrin, but we have Eric up here. Technically, this is 2 panels, even though, I've got it kind of intersecting over here on panel 4. Panel 5's coming up on panel 4. It's not that big of a deal. So it's fine that this is panel 4 and this is labeled panel 5. However, if I were to make a panel, say, I'll draw it back here, where I've got, say this is my sticky note, and I've got a box like this, and then another box like this, that's 2 panels. And that's just how the comic platform that I'm posting on constitutes as a panel. And the only reason I'm keeping count of that is just because I want to keep in mind that a story is on average about 40 to 60 panels on there. Whereas mine is, I don't know. I think this script will probably reach about 50 to 60 panels. We'll see. And if you get to stick around for all of those, good on you. I don't know how many I'll record, but I'm definitely going to get through these, and at least up until where they're arguing. So that would be story beats 2 or 3. Let's go to 3 on this one at least. And if I get through all of them, then I get through all of them. It's going to be a long form. Alright, so the last panel, we had her punching. So let's have... How do I want to transfer this? Punch. What if I had him throw a punch and he hits like... a pillar? Or something, and then there's like debris, and then the debris is gonna pour down from that page down to this page. So I'm just gonna write debris and then just add a little bit of that. Oh dear. Don't lean on that. Everything moves if you lean on that. Wow, okay. You live and learn, guys. I want to show him thinking. I want to show him plotting. I want to show Eric coming up with an idea. What would be a good way of doing that? Where's the... I could do an eye shot. Kind of like what they've got here. You can't see it, but like something like that, where they've got their eyes kind of focus. This is a cool comic, by the way. You know what else I could do? Showcase the other devil. That's what I could do. What if I've got him, this cocky guy, kind of like in a pose? Is that a rip or a tear? Nope. Okay. It's just a mispaint or something. I don't know. Oh, there is mud on the boots. Well, how clever. Good job, McFarland. I get too excited about the toys. Like, what if he's like holding up his arm and he's like starting to cast something, and those pieces of debris are a part of it? That'd be kind of cool. Yeah. He's got his arm up. He's all like, ah! He's not like that, but he's got his arm up like this. And he's catching the pieces of debris. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. That's right. That's using the good old canoodle. I don't remember what this guy's face looks like, so I'm just gonna draw like generic pointy, straight up and down. The main thing here is, though, since he's a devil and not a demon, which there is a difference. Those who play Dungeons and Dragons will know that devils are generally more humanoid and conniving, and demons are more like imps and brutes and stuff like that, and they're more focused on your soul and less focused on getting a deal or anything like that. So like he's gonna be like that. But then in the background of this panel, so this is going to be panel 6 and 7, because it stretches far enough, because I think this panel is going to be pretty small. Yeah, let's have him kind of shown off. So I don't think I explained these cubes well enough. What I mean by drawing perspective cubes is, so here's a cube, but straight on. Here's a cube if we turn it one way. And then here's a cube if we turn it one way, and then also turn it up and down. Like if we were to turn it like that versus like that. So I draw these to help me see kind of what I'm thinking. So in this case, he would be like that. Which is pretty small on this camera, but I think that the point carries. I keep looking at my screen like, what do I look like? But then I can't tell, because then all I see is me looking at the screen. That's just, it's stupid. So Eric's back here. I need another male figure for my collection, so then I can pose 2 male characters at once. I have 2 females, but they're both the same. I actually have 3, but the third one's getting customized into something very cool that I will show, hopefully someday. If I ever get it done, because I don't have any time. Let's get, Eric getting up, and he's rushing out in this panel here. But not, and like maybe it'll look like he's abandoning. So, abandon Ephedrine? Question mark. Magic Debris Transition. I'm trying so hard to make that legible, but it's just terrible. So he's breaking the panel here, which will be kind of a cool way of showing his movement. The hair doesn't allow me. That's the one thing that I do complain about with using these kind of models, because they usually all have hair, so you can't move the head back as much as I'd like. But then of course, like I could just get one that doesn't have hair. I'm sure there's a superhero that wears a mask like that. Like Batman or something like that. I need to find a good Batman that doesn't have like a ton of gear, because that's the thing. I still want the form of the figure to show through. I say that as I'm holding like a guy with a ton of armor on, but still. Not a ton of armor, but all like leather and cross stitch and junk like that. So he's gonna run. I need to see that spell come through, so let's show Ephedrine trying to dodge the spell that's come in. Let's have the spell, yeah, trickle down like that. And she's trying to dodge it. Or maybe she gets hit. Yeah. We need to show that she's winded. So let's put in a panel here where so this is panel 9 and 10. We got 10 panels and it's only been 30 minutes. I could be moving a little bit faster, but I am talking while I do this, so show some respect. So she's coming in kind of like... Is that possible? For... Yes, it is. I know what I'm talking about. It's always good to check, though. So she's coming back like that. So she's doing a lot of ballerina crap in this one. Which is going to be fun to draw or a pun or an absolute pain. Can't tell. And then it'll come in like this on her face for that shot. Yeah. Let's go take that picture. Oh no! I love putting a camera on me while I work because regardless of what I'm doing, I will be dropping things. You usually just can't see it because all my tools are off to the right. So usually it's like over here where I've got all my pencils and stuff, or my paintbrushes. Like, I'll just like toss it because I know I'm gonna drop it because I'm filming. That's just the law. If I'm filming, I'm immediately klutz. But now that I've got, you know, now that I'm doing something kind of live-ish, it's all gonna be just mishaps and screw-ups. So she's gonna be not doing well. So we've let Demon Eric her. We need to push the stakes, raise the stakes. So Ephedrine's tired / weakened. And this is one of the points that I want to get across. Ephedrine's power is not limitless. It has its limit because basically how it is, let me show you. So you have Ephedrine and her body is essentially the conduit for magic. So usually what it is you've got magic out here that you can, you know, access and channel via spells or incantations or rituals or whatever. This is like the normal person. I know I said it was Ephedrine, but this is like, we'll call him Norman for normal man. But then Ephedrine over here that's my 3-second Ephedrine I'm drawing right there. Get her ears in. There. Ephedrine doesn't have to access the magic externally because all of hers is internal, like an engine. But that engine requires food, chicken egg. I'll just write it out. I'm not going to draw it. Food. It requires rest, and it requires What was the other thing I said it did? I wrote this. I should know the lore. You think so? This is why you write down things. You don't keep it in your head. Food, rest, and then I think I said like meditation or something, or focus, probably. A level of focus. That doesn't sound right. But basically, her metabolism is the first thing that's attacked. That's why she's built like a twig. Like her body mass is tiny because the magic is just pulling all of the energy out of her into big, fireballs and stuff like that. So it's like every time she casts a spell, her body runs a marathon internally. So that's why, like, you'll see like in the first chapter she casts like a big spell, but then immediately after she's just hurling in an alleyway. So that's how that works. But Eric doesn't know that. Eric just sees like this kind of annoying, brash warrior. So we need to make sure that we show that there's more than maybe what he assumes. Just dodges that. And then I want her to maybe she gets slammed up against the wall, or her face gets caught. That's kind of similar to what I had in chapter 1. Is it enough for a callback joke? Like just bam. I'm gonna hold off on that one. What if instead because I want the devil to stay at range. He's going to provide range attack because he's more of like a Hanzo main. Sometimes it helps me to process things through other video games. So like I think of characters as DPS or stuff like that, like in hero shooters like Overwatch or Marvel Rivals. So the other guy, he's fighting like that. Last we saw he did a big punch, so what if he could catch her by the arm and then slam her into the wall. Although we already have kind of like a reaction panel here. So, that'd be cool. What if we had like she lands and she's getting all cocky, she's mocking or something like that. And meanwhile, behind her, it's like this giant torso from the Brute. But it's like its silhouette. Like he's just about to clobber her. And she's more like hunched over, so she's gonna be like so. The figure won't bend because it doesn't have butterfly joints. Could have done better, Marvel. Or Hasbro, I guess. So yeah, she's gonna be like that, maybe charging up a spell. And then how many panels are we at? I like that. Okay, so went quiet there for a little bit. Let me explain what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this fight has gone on for about as long as it needs to, because we're 11 panels in. I'm thinking about taking 2 or 3 more panels, and then at that stage we can shift from our fight scene into our conflict scene, because I only want to go about 60 panels, and this fight only needs to take about, if it was a pie chart, I wanted to take about that much of the story. Not even a 25th, probably even less than that, because I gotta do conflict, which is the majority of the story probably. I gotta do some world building, and then with them finding and then them working together, which is the other half of the story. So it's a terrible pie chart, but I'm not gonna waste my time drawing another one. So because of that, I'm going to have the brute right behind her, going like ready to crush her as she charges up a spell. What if she wounds him in one of the previous scenes? Yeah, so this one we're gonna have her Drin wounds demon, because she needs to contribute to the fight. Because what I think I'm gonna have is the demon's behind her. He's gonna crush her like a watermelon. But then we're gonna do like that what if scene that was super lazy, where Thanos just gets by the Ultron vision. Spoilers! Sorry if you didn't watch What If on Disney Plus. Does he need to get lasered? Or does he need to explode? Because the other one got bisected. Yeah. Other one got bisected. This one is gonna explode. And so we're going to... A felon's gonna get duplicated. Down here, she's gonna have the same pose, but her face is gonna be like... That's a terrible representation. This is gonna be this huge explosion of demon guts behind her. Of course, PG-13 demon guts. It's funny because when I say it out loud, all the stuff that I do to like the villains when they die, like all the fatalities, sounds super gross and junk. But it's like when I draw this, it's gonna be all like pink and like exciting and colorful and junk. It's always kind of funny. Panel 15. Add an asterisk to know that it's duplicated, so later I know that. Let's add like a magic color unique to Eric, which I think all of his magic is red. I don't remember. You draw so many panels and you don't remember small things anymore, although that's kind of a big thing. Again, I played dumb on TV and in real life. So dodges. Starts to feel burn. And this is where we can see maybe her tattoos, which are always glowing, start to kind of waver a little bit. Tattoos start to waver. Feldrin. Spell. Charge. Demon. Brute. Crush. I'll draw a watermelon. And then Brute explode. Who? What? How? Yep, that'll work. Okay. And now, some more exciting content for you. One sticky note. Two sticky notes. Doesn't get better than this. That should be the title of the video. Guy sticks sticky notes in notebook. 3 hours, 45 minutes. That's the actual length of the video. I totally called it, and I want a prize of some sort. But you can buy these in like packs of 400. I might swap back over to these or the 2x2 by Post-it. Why am I giving credit to Post-it? Well, I mean, they did work hard probably to make the best sticky note that they could, but you know, they're generic sticky notes. You know, just make sure you don't get something that's like crappy. It'll fall off the page. Panel 12. Huh. Oh, I thought that said panel 15. It does say panel 15. Panel 12. We're on panel 13. Lucky panel 13! Yes, I say that even when I'm not on camera. It means I'm making progress. All right, panel 13. And then I'll just write out panel. You can use any formatting you want, obviously, for this kind of stuff. But for me, I like writing it out, underlining it, and then having the number and then notes. Explode. And then what transition do I want? Because it's going to be a line here. Explode. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do a magic circle. From like a ritual or something. Where Eric is like he's got a trinket of some sort to do that. That's Eric's thing, by the way. He's got like this bag o' tricks, because he's not really like a wizard or a cleric. He's more of like a guy with like a lot of items who can kind of do magic. Or, well, he can do magic, but there's a whole story to that. Some of that will be revealed here. So why don't you reveal it right now while you're on camera? Okay, so his magic is actually tied to his abilities as a sin eater, which are all tainted because his soul is, you know, scarred with the sins of a million people. So, because of that, his magic is not kosher. Like, it feeds off of evil, and he doesn't want to use it. So or I guess feeds off of innocence, or I forget how I word it, but basically it's no bueno. So he doesn't want to use it. So he uses a bunch of trinkets instead. And those trinkets basically have kept him alive this whole time. So we're gonna go up his arm. There's my perspective square. I keep saying square, it's a daggum cube. I don't want him holding a book because book says wizard boy. Book says like Harry Potter. Book says like, yeah, just wizard. What can he hold instead? What can he hold? What can he hold? I need a fantasy comic other than this. But also, people don't make a ton of fantasy comics in the US because they're not as popular. Do I have another fantasy comic book I could be looking at? In case you don't know, I'm looking at my shelves back here. I've got like comic books here. So I'm not just looking away from you and screaming into the void. I'm looking for a book. I think I remember. What if he had like a sensor, like some priests do? Like if he was holding that, and then that could actually be part of our transition downwards. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah! I love it when I make these nice little shapes like that. It makes it look so cool. So then have like kind of that going by. So then our devil friend is here. He's kind of part of the shape. That's gonna be so cool to paint. It's gonna look great. Because this could be like a white or light, and then like the sun could be coming up. Oh, sun coming up. When you can see it in your mind, you just get so excited and you're just like, yes, that, do it. This is the stage to have that. Yes. This is the stage to have those ideas and that excitement. Yeah, from open window. From open, no, door. Have the door, so he's made it all the way around. He's now in the back. So there's the door. There's the sun beaming through. And then he's going to have the light. So sunlight. Yeah. My pen is smudging everywhere. But I don't care. So for once, the devil's going to be on the offensive. Yeah, so he sees that and he's mad. $13 and $14. This will be This will be 15. I only say this is 13, 14 because I want this trail to go down all the way into like its own panel probably. And you know what? I want Eric to over-explain his move because that's the kind of nerd he is. Move slash item. Yeah. I love seeing it come together. I got a text. This isn't important. I'm going to cut this later. Program one yet. Not yet. That wasn't important. Immediate response. Oh, what if she clips one of his horns? Like, just like a swoosh. So Feldrin's gonna attack in here. I'm sorry, by the way, if like a lot of this is cerebral, but this is just like, I don't know quite how to explain what I'm thinking all the time, so hopefully this helps. Also, every time I talk, I start looking at something else because I've got ADD. I don't actually have ADD, but I do have, like, way too much going on in my head as I trail off, thinking about something else while trying to explain. How do I want to swipe from this panel to this panel? Cut off. Literally. Yeah, so like maybe like just a blur of movement. And one of his horns gets clipped. Yeah, just like a spell or something. Yeah, she misses. And then maybe even show, yeah, Eric in this one. And then like him having to dodge the spell blowing past. Yeah, so like it's gonna be like whoosh boom, in the background. Makes no sense to anybody watching, but it will when I draw. It makes no sense. This is gonna be torture to watch through and edit, because I'm gonna be like watching this, I'm like, do I really look like that for hours on end? Yes, I do. So this is going to be panel 16, and then let's have a Feldrin. Maybe we'll look up as he takes off. Yeah, show his wings. And he'll fly through the hole that was made earlier in the church, in the environment that they're in right now. So this one is something like that. Then this one, we're looking at the bottom of the cube. Up. Like so. And she's down here like, get back, you third-rate roadkill, garbage, stupid man, idiot. And then down here is when the argument will start, because they'll just be, she'll be looking up and yelling, and then she'll look at him and be like, what are you looking at? Like, that's right, you better run. So Faldoran's not an idiot, but she does kind of act like a child. Not because she's childish in like, you know, like that she's naive, more like in the way that like she doesn't take things too seriously, even though she herself is like, you know, doing serious things. So it comes off as like immature. This is especially so because Eric is so stoic and broody. Like he wears like a coat and stuff like that. He's more like kind of like a Batman character meets like Spider-Man. Or more like Gwenpool, I guess. Which I never understood that character, because it was like, yes, it's Deadpool, but it's also supposed to be Gwen Stacy, but Gwen Stacy didn't really have much of a personality because she was only around so long and then she got killed and nobody remembers what her personality was like then. So they've kind of rewritten the character to be like your average quirky, fun Harley Quinn ripoff. Not to say I didn't read all of Gwenpool's comics, because I did. But still. Alright. Alright, what time is it? Okay, so we've gotten through all the way to where they're going to be arguing. I want to keep doing this, but I can't do it right now because I haven't eaten for the day. So for this recording, I'm going to be done, and I'll be right back right after these messages or right after this quick clip. They'll come in any second now. Any second now, it's just going to be like, see, I told you it'd be quick. I'd be right back. Well, I mean, it's actually been a couple of weeks and some stuff has changed, and I noticed in my last video some of the things that I was doing wasn't really great, but hopefully this will be the better version of that video. But anyway, let's get back into it. And that ends the presentational, like, aesthetically pleasing portion of this video. Now it's just going to go back to rough cut work. Okay, where were we? So we had just ended here. Hopefully you'll notice my top cam is a little bit better, because I realized that if you record with a GoPro in webcam mode, it doesn't record in 4K, but if you record just on the video card, it will, so yeah. Okay, so we've got them talking here at the bottom. That's panel 20? Really? Yeah, that's panel 19 and 20. Goodness. We did have a time last time, didn't we? Panel 21. Panel I don't know. Panel... You'd think I'd be a little bit more sure of myself after giving myself that long of a break. But I'm not, so I'm going to be looking at some scenes to see if I can think of a good way to show conversation or arguments. Because right now... Oh, it was right here. Where did it go? That's not it. That's it. One of them. Okay. Right now, we're in this stage where they're in the argument. So we want to show a couple of panels of them not getting along because they got a clash. I feel like I'm going to be doing a lot of removing the sticky notes today. So we ended with, that's right, you better run, and then, what are you looking at? From a Feldrin. So maybe Eric should be like, what do you mean, what am I looking at? You're the one who, yeah, kind of a... And then maybe like in the foreground. Feldrin standing there like so. Actually, close this window. Last time when we spoke, it was freezing outside, but it is a lovely 50 degrees. Not that you care, but now you know. I had the window open. So Eric's going to be kind of pointing at her and her bloody fists and her big sword and just be like, you're the one that came in here, you were storming into my area. Just started wreaking havoc. I've thought about doing this stage digitally, and I feel like the sketches would look better and be easier for you to see, but I wouldn't be thinking as organically as I am in this, because it's like, yes, I could set up a document that's just really long, but inevitably I'm going to zoom in. But with this, I'm not going to, look at it like that. I'm going to stay back here where I'm at and focus on what looks good just in general as a rule of comics, rather than get all... Because here's the thing. I think I talked about this, but I'm going to say it again if I have. When it comes to thumbnailing, it's about having a small composition in mind. Not details, not expressions, not really anything like that. You just want the general idea of what you're making. Because if it looks good in small form, in like on a tiny sticky note, it'll look good in big form. And that's the whole point of this. And I hope I've driven that home and not let that, go implied or inferred or however I'm supposed to say that. But that's the biggest thing here. The reason I don't do this digitally is because I know that I will obsess over line work or shape or stuff like that, when that's not the thing I need to obsess about. There are many other things that I could go over that are many other things to focus on, I should say, because right now I need something to look at for the next stage, because I'm just going to be typing all this out, and if I just have to type off the top of my head, I'm not getting anywhere. But with thumbnails, I basically have the framework and kind of the spine. It's like I've already got, I know kind of where I'm going ish, but at the same time, I don't have it visually in my head. And I can't get it visually just by typing. I don't know why, I just can't. Let's have... Oh, I want to show you something cool. So in the interim between recordings, I picked up a McFarlane Batgirl for like next to nothing at this awesome toys and games shop. Always go brick and mortar, okay? Just like comic book shops, bookstores, toy shops, like brick and mortar every time. Like worst case scenario, you'll walk out with a fun story, and I get it. You know, talking to people can be scary, and maybe that's not something that you want, or you're afraid of social interaction. Which, I mean, I can't identify with that really. I'm stuck in this cave all day, and I enjoy any time I get the chance to talk with other people, especially people that are into the same things that I'm into. But yeah, like going into those stores and seeing, you know, like there was just tons and tons and tons of cool figures like this. There was like stuff from Transformers, Legends of the Masters of the Universe. It was very fun. And they had a bunch of cheap figures that I could purchase and use for my posing pleasure. So I've got a Feldrin kind of like ticked off at this stage. I realized I was using like a Marvel Legends figure in the last one. I was using like Spider-Gwen. But I do like the McFarlane a lot better. Except for this hair here. Dang it, McFarlane. I compliment you once and you let me down. That's interesting. Some neat painting artifacts there that I can't show you because... What if she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you... Yeah, what if she's... You don't have to have toys or anatomy figures to pose for thumbnailing or penciling or even inking. They just help me out, especially when I'm stumped, because I could sit there and I could get distracted while I'm talking and look at something else. I could just sketch out randomly, and that'd be fine, but I don't want to waste a lot of paper and a lot of time. Sorry, I just wandered off there, and still am wandering. I should talk about what I'm doing, I guess. I'm trying to find a good in-between mid-ground for what is a dynamic pose and what is a good talking pose, because you're generally not going to have like theater speaking between characters where they're like very expressive and overly animated every time they talk to each other. But in an argument, you are going to have a little bit more of that. I guess I shouldn't say you're not going to ever. I mean, your characters can talk as animated as they want to. That might just be your style. But for me, with this one, I want it to not come off as just like playing it up for laughs. So I want these two characters to clash in a way that makes sense, first and foremost. And humor's a tricky thing. It might come off as funny. Oh no, oh no. Is it really? The black in my 4-color pen is leaving. So sad. Oh my goodness, yeah, it's empty. Like, I don't know if you can see. Like, That's like all the other ones, and then that's that one. So that's all the other colors. And then, yeah. So I'm just gonna get another one. You thought I was up a creek there, didn't you? No. I always keep spare. I got like a 5-pack of these. If ever you have a cheap tool that you just love using and use all the time, buy it in bulk. Alright, so she's pointing at Eric and she's like, oh, I'm sorry. Were you handling it? I need another conflict page, so I'm gonna look at this comic. This is, by the way, in case you couldn't tell by the cover, Batman White Knight by Sean Gordon Murphy. Sean Gordon Murphy. He did the art and I believe the story. Well, with Matt Hollingsworth, but yeah. He's got a lot of really great expressions. And just in general, a good mix of action, but then also like drama and speaking bits. And personally, like, I love this story as far as like being a Batman fan, because when it comes to storytelling with Batman, it's hard to find something new, and he's definitely done a good job kind of mixing some of the newer Batman stuff with the older classics, and just without it feeling like it's too much or I don't know, fan servicey, because that can happen a lot. It's like, oh, here's the Batmobile from here, or here's a line that they said in the original, or blah, 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 blah. Focus, first and foremost, on having a good story. If you can do that, then you can do anything you want with your Batman story or your whatever, and then if you want to throw in cameos and other fun bits into your comic, then do that. I think the way that I'm going to end this fight, because I think it's good to come up with the ending before you come up with the middle, is that I'm going to have Efeldrin essentially unable to really continue arguing because she's just drained. Oh, we're still recording. That's good. So here's just going to be like a bunch of back and forth on this page. And I want this to go 2 panels. So tell you what, let's call this 21, 22. Let's make this 23 to 24. We're going to make a note here. It says Efeldrin, and just kind of write out her mood. She's going to be more snarky and... that's a good word. pithy? I guess. Facetious. Write it in cursive so nobody can tell if I spelled it wrong. Whereas Eric is going to be nitpicky. Because he's got his whole thing is details. It's going to be nitpicky and kind of better than the scenario. He's going to be above it. Above the ridiculous. Alright. And they're just back and forth, yelling at each other. Until we get to a panel where Feldrin's like up close to the camera and she's just like, you know, it's not your concern, something. And I think, like, in this, we need to have an overarching theme. So I'm just going to draw a line here. And that theme is going to be Blood Veil. But then, because that was what we were talking about before, so we're going to finish up that. Finish up talking about the Blood Veil, and that's all the lore that we're going to give. And then a little bit more about demons. And that's where we're going to start. And the idea is essentially, and I should write this down, Feldrin is blaming mortals for demons. Meanwhile, Eric is concerned about chaos. Some pages can get quite messy, but it's good. It's good. If you're more of a stream of consciousness kind of worker, you might want to write on this page or have a separate notebook or something like that if it gets too messy. But honestly, I like it like this, where it's just like all my ideas all at once just hitting me as I'm writing the script and being like, okay, this, I need to tie this in. Here's a note over here. Here's the multiple different colors and such. It's really good for me to see. It helps me process the story, I guess. One of the things about Feldrin that I'm going to establish in this is she doesn't really see herself as mortal. She's not immortal, but she... in fact, she technically is mortal herself. But one of her recurring gags, I think, that I'll have is she calls everybody else, mortal, or, just because they're from the material plane. And, but she's a Blood Veil warrior. She's from the underworld. She's more than that. But she isn't. It's just her pride talking. So I'm going to have a Feldrin kind of popping out of the panel, pointing at Eric some more. Where are we? Am I okay with it being 60 panels? Because I'll need 40 more panels after this. We're almost at 30, so we're almost halfway. Okay. I have to keep in mind where I am in the story because I don't want... 60 panels is more than enough. I don't want to end the story abruptly where I don't want to. Now that being said, I will extend the story as far as I need to, but at the same time, I don't want to keep the reader forever in one issue. Especially like in this day and age, and especially because of this medium of webcomics, you're on your phone, you're already scrolling through like a million videos a day. You don't want to have to slog through a comic that's just a ton of dialogue. So I want to keep it short, and I want to keep it snappy. Drawing like a swirly kind of thing around Feldrin's head here. Vertigo. And I'm just going to write a little note that says Vertigo, because she's not fully recovered yet from her spell use yet. And I need to show that. But I'd like to also show... I need to show... Here, let me explain the problem. Let me just break it down. Because if I break it down on camera, it'll all break loose in my mind. Okay. The devil they're fighting against is majoritively magic-based. So if he had a class, it would be like wizard or sorcerer or something like that. So I need him to cast a spell around the town that they're in, I should say, that keeps them in. So I need visually that to look like something. Because the thing is, they are going to be in town for the entire day the next day. So I can't get it in my head too much. I gotta talk this out. I cannot have that spell be something that is visually terrifying for all the other people, because they are still going to be celebrating. They're still going to be going about their normal activities. But I kind of would like it if this panel, if Eldrin's like, just, kind of losing her energy and then looks up and sees this crazy thing, and then we have this big reveal, which will take us nicely into our next point. But I can't think of what I want that to look like. For presentation's sake, I don't know how to take you into my head and what I'm thinking. When you get stuck in kind of this visual stump, I don't know how else to describe it. You need to pull up references, you need to pull up artwork that you like, artwork that you know other people have done, maybe even artwork that you've done in the past. But you obviously don't want to steal from them, so this is kind of where you've got to balance yourself a little bit. Finish the thought route. Okay, you want to balance yourself between coming up with a unique thing every single time and full-on plagiarism. Because, to be honest, I don't come up with the exact thing that I'm looking for every single time right off the top of my head. Sometimes I pull it from other places. Sometimes I find it from, other artwork, other paintings. Sometimes I'm watching shows. Sometimes I go out and I see in nature or outside just pardon. I see something that inspires me. And that's why you gotta go out. That's why you gotta build that visual library. Because you are a limited resource. Your mind isn't. But you yourself will run out of ideas at some point. You may not seem like it at times, or it may seem like you will never have a good idea, but that's where you've got to exercise and prepare to have good ideas just by observing and seeing things differently as an artist. Is this getting in the way? It must. I'll try to turn the page lower, even though I totally didn't do that. What about See, I don't know, though. Like, it's a weird problem. Okay, what if visually it's not shown? What if visually it can't be shown? And we just get explanation from the priest. Is that an exposition dump? Kinda. It'd kinda be. What if Eric tells it in the argument? That's a better way of. Yeah. And then we can go into like kind of a surreal situation where we've got maybe the town down here. Yeah, because we could showcase Eric's nerdiness. Okay. All right. Let me adjust my thing. Sometimes my mind works much faster than my mouth can. That was a pink highlighter, by the way, in case you couldn't tell. Hey Ruben, why don't you explain what you're thinking of and what you're writing to the people that are watching this? Oh, that's a good idea. Alright. My breakthrough. Want to show Eric's character. Want to show Eric's knowledge, which is a part of his character. Want to show Eric or Efeldrin's not raw strength, but less intellectual way of going about things. And how they're kind of beginning to mesh. The way that I decided to do that and show off my kind of existential threat that will force them to work together is that I'm going to have in the dialogue, Eric's going to explain that Devil is bound. The devil is bound to the town essentially by a pact, because devils don't work completely on their own. They have to have a pact to really operate freely from the other archdevils. And so this one has a pact with someone in town by some villager. I need a new color. It's going to be red. And I'm going to highlight it in normal highlighter. Except normal highlighter will come out of... I just need normal highlighter colors. Well, that's going to blend in. Work that hard. I can't even... If it can go wrong, it will go wrong on camera. All right. So, visually, we're going to have like a Feldrin like, well, what do you mean? Gonna make a note of that. Feldrin can't retort. Essentially, from that panel where she's reacting, we're going to have the devil's horns come down. We're going to kind of have like a silhouette of his face, sort of. And then we're going to show like this kind of ethereal magic that's over the town. And as Eric explains about the Devil Lord and why... I keep calling him Devil Lord. Essentially, he's like the lord of the valley. Like if you think of it like in a medieval feudal system. He's made a deal with somebody in town, essentially binding him to that area, allowing him to work in that area because he's essentially given some sort of favor to that person, to that human. Favor / bond. How we doing? All right, we're doing great. I keep checking this because it's no longer on its cord, so it can run out of battery and space. But the favor and the bond essentially could be anything. So they need to go find that person. And that's a good way of solving that. I don't want to leave... Here's the thing about having two main characters. I'll harp on this for a little bit, even though my mind's completely scatterbrained. When it comes to having two characters or multiple characters that are supposed to be equally important, you don't want to have one outdo the other constantly, unless that's in their field. Let me explain. Feldrin, her expertise is magic. Her expertise is combat and, all things underworld and essentially just being a warrior. That's her deal. So she could take Eric in a fight. However, Eric's whole thing is very cerebral. It's very much about how he's thinking and, I guess you could say scheming in battle. If these were two different types of video games, Feldrin would be like Doom Eternal, and Eric would be like Baldur's Gate 3. Or how some people play Baldur's Gate 3. Not how I play Baldur's Gate 3. I play Baldur's Gate 3, I just run in and do what I can. Save scum if I need to. But like, you get the idea. Strategy versus, brashness. And, full on power. And so the question here that I'm facing is Feldrin losing the argument here going to diminish her to where she has another loss? Because every time a character takes a loss, it makes them look bad, and the way that the reader perceives that character is also affected. So if I just have a Feldrin lose and lose and lose and lose, then she's just a loser and nobody wants to read about her. Even if they identify with her, they're still not going to enjoy. It's kind of like what they've done with modern day Spider-Man comics. That's why they suck so badly, because they've done nothing but, you know, throw Peter Parker in the toilet and flush him down into the cesspool of failure for the past like 10 years. And then they made Paul, which I'll admit I didn't know about it because I stopped reading Spider-Man before we got there, but wow. Oof. If you don't know who Paul is in Spider-Man, there's a whole video about it by this one guy who I watched. I'll put a link, I guess, or just go look it up for yourself. Go look it up for yourself, because honestly, I don't want to. But the idea here is that you want the character to be relatable while still being mysterious, still have something to show the audience. You want them to be established while still having room to grow. And you want them to have wins and losses. So they have to have faults and things that they're good at. I guess that would be a trait, positive trait, something like that. I don't know what the converse of that would be. So in this case, what I'm wondering is, did Efeldrin win enough in this last fight? Because I feel like they both kind of did. What was her last loss? Let's see. She showed up, she got punched, she couldn't do the thing, she still couldn't do the thing, she threw up, she guess. So now in my mind I'm trying to figure out... Sorry, I trailed off. Now in my mind I'm trying to figure out if Efeldrin's due a loss, or if she's at the right amount to where she can lose to Eric. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to make Eric look really smart and just like kind of cocky like he's Juan, and then she's just going to be come back with like a one-liner of some sort, which is going to frustrate future me, because future me doesn't know what that one-liner is. But you know, that's future Ruben's problem, is smart. And not necessarily every time Eric is smart, Efeldrin is dumb. But you want to keep in mind that, like, if they both understand it, then it's just exposition. It's no longer a conversation. It's just like a, you know that water is wet, right? Yeah, I always know that. I have always known that. Okay, plus, you know that pressing space will make you jump. Yeah, of course. You know, it's like video games where they do that all the time to communicate to the player subtly how to play the game. 23, 24, 25, 26, 26, 27, 28. All right. So 30, we've got 2 more panels before we're halfway. I want them to have their mission, and then the next 30 panels is them going on that mission. Does that sound right? I mean, this is not a good example. I mean, in this one, it's broken up a little bit differently from issue to issue. But, generally, most comics kind of have a rhythm to them. And I want to make sure I've got a good rhythm Otherwise, it's going to be very confusing for my readers. So we get to the actual story. Okay. Yeah. I like the flow. I feel like I'm a lot slower than I was before, but this is what you have to consider because we went from a fight scene to a talking scene. So we've gone, here, I'll draw it. We've gone from fight, and we're all the way up here. So just immediate, we don't even have this build up. We're just at fight. We're gonna go down a little bit. Is that on camera? It ought to be. We're gonna go down a little bit for our dialogue. And we're going to slowly raise the stakes until we get to our end, and we're going to end on a high mark right here. So kind of the comic before was slow burn, interesting, finally rising to our fight. What I mean by interesting is, like, we were talking about Eric's past, and then there was a fight going on that slowly got more intense because he was losing, and then Efeldrin entered the fight, and the fight was on, and it was actually probably like this for the first bit of the comic. Now we're entering this part of the comic, and about halfway through, the stakes are high enough that we can get to the rest of it. This isn't a perfect diagram. I've never... Somebody tried to explain to me one time, like, storytelling where it's like the Icarus method, the, hero starts at the top, loses everything, flies too close to the sun or something like that. I never got that fully in a visual sense, but when it comes to, like, in my head, I kind of know what I want to read and what I enjoy and what I think the story will benefit from. And I could be wrong, but video's still got to get made, doesn't it? That's the thing. I'm an amateur. I don't know what I'm doing. Everything that I do is primarily guesswork, or things that I've picked up from other people or other places. Nothing that I'm telling you is probably original. But then I'd like to think that there's somebody else out there who isn't doing this because they still think they're an amateur and they have to be a professional in order to make a comic. Hi, I'm also an amateur. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm making a comic, and you can too. So if anything, that's why I do this. Also, making comics is really fun and I enjoy it. And, recording myself may be a little bit inconvenient, uncomfortable, and may take up a large portion of my schedule, but I think it's worth it to give that inspiration to somebody else and to show them you're not alone. You can do this. You may feel like you don't have the tools in order to do something professional yet, and that's okay. Let me help you as I discover those tools so that we can both move forward together and create the stories that we want to share with the world. So that's at least that's what I tell myself when I don't want to get up in the morning. And it's been very nice recently to see the channel's growth and the community's growth as more and more people are talking to me and telling me about their stories, about the things that they're working on, or about questions that they have. And sometimes I don't hear anything, and that's okay. I get it. I'm not good at subscribing and following either. But when I look at those numbers that tell me how many people are looking at these videos where I'm trying to explain how to do these things, there's no point in those videos where I'm like, I'm a professional, you should listen to me. No, I'm just saying, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to try anyway. And I hope, my sincere hope is, by me trying very hard, other people will try very hard. And I think that's just, it's so cool to see that. Because not everybody that watches the video will try, but they'll at least have seen me try. And maybe, just maybe, that'll encourage them to go out and make something awesome. Which is why I came up with that phrase at all. Sappiness aside, I need to write this comic. Because I'm running out of time, aren't I? I can go for a bit longer. I don't want this video to be forever long, but still. So Eric is smart. So I need to show him kind of like an up-close fashion, maybe? This guy, Inio Asano, I don't recommend all of his stuff, but he does have a way with expression, I think. Gonna have Eric here, looking rather smart. What's my transition from this page to this page? Well, we've kind of got this already, which is Ghost 4. So I need to show like the pact mark here. Some sort of. Actually, let's put Eric down here. Kind of like, almost like he's a school teacher explaining, like, with a PowerPoint behind him, something that he knows very well. And then there'll just be a silhouette of a guy. Because I don't know how the dialogue will roll out. It might turn into, this may be repetitive by the time I get to it, to the actual script, but I do not want these pages to be cluttered. I'm very emphatic about it because I've just started working on exporting some of the lettering from chapter 1. I don't know when this video will go live, but chapter 1 might be out in the world by now, but I've been messing with it, and it's so frustrating to work from the script that I've written, because it's not frustrating, it's just there's moments where I'm like, okay, you should have known this wouldn't fit. Because, yes, maybe someone's being a bit wordy, but they do not need to speak this much in just one comic bubble, because I don't want to read that. I don't want to try to type that, because now it's super messy, and the reader's not going to want to read all that. So if Eldrin is going to kind of react, she's going to be like, so we're both stuck here. both stuck here. These notes give me an idea of what I want my characters to say, maybe not even if that's exactly what they will say by the time I get to writing dialogue. Have Eric kind of sitting down and brooding a little bit in the destroyed church. I can see why streaming would be a good option if I was going to do this more. Because then I could actually read questions live from people. I just don't have the bandwidth for it. Because I live in the middle of nowhere. But that being said, I tried streaming. It just didn't work. So I need them to get to the point where they're going out. I think if Feldrin's going to initiate this. Yeah, she's going to be like, screw that. Bump my microphone. Sorry, I was looking at a comic. I should not stare off into space while I'm on camera. So in this panel, I want to have Eric sitting on a pew that's kind of wrecked from the fight before. Kind of looking back, almost glaring back at a Feldrin who's leaving the church. And he's like, "You're gonna die," and she's like, "I don't care. You're stupid. I know." And this, like, back and forth banter. Until a Feldrin convinces... Not so much a Feldrin convinces. A Feldrin is a bigger target. What I mean by that is she's the bigger target for the demons than Eric is. So if she does get taken out, there's nobody else for the demons really to focus on. So he essentially needs her to be alive, and that's kind of in his own mind. So maybe have like some thought bubbles. for Eric. I know it kind of sounds a little treacherous at the moment for him to be like, oh, if she dies, then, I die. Or, maybe they'll all go after her instead of me. But they're not partners yet. They need to still be at odds, even to the point of almost treachery. Or at least general unfriendliness. Thinking panel, I need to show some thinking. What does a thought look like when he's thinking? Is it another eye shot moment? It might be another eye shot moment. I don't know. Yes, I do this when there's no camera. So yeah, this is where Eric concludes it's better to travel with her. It'd be okay. This would be a good. It'd be kind of cool if like he's like all serious and broody, like over here, and he's thinking like she's probably thinking this, whatever, stuff like that. Meanwhile, like Efeldrin's over here, and she's like, I am sick as a dog. I want to go home. That's a nice bit of flow. That's not bad at all. Okay. Alright. I am not going to call it yet. I'm going to plug the GoPro in for a second. I'm going to get some more water. So I'm going to press pause, and I'll be right back. So you won't even notice it. And I shouldn't have brought it up because I could have just fixed it in post. But whatever. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, we're back. Let's see. So I had a Feldrin kind of silly face. Don't know if I want to keep up with that or not. I think maybe it'd be better if like maybe she had her own agenda. Like, so essentially, Eric's playing the long game because he thinks that Feldrin essentially will keep the demons off of his back, which she will. But then also, Feldrin's thinking, okay, this guy knows about the demons of this world and might be able to help her open up the hell portal, or not hell portal, the underworld portal, so that she can wage war. So, yeah, I think that's a good idea. I might rearrange this, though. I don't know, I kind of like how it leads in right now. So it's okay. So I'm gonna write Eric wants Efeldrin to to protect him. Efeldrin wants Eric to help her open a nether portal. That's what I called it. Isn't that what they're called in Minecraft? I'm gonna date myself if I start talking about Minecraft. I remember when it came out in 2010, and I was kind of unimpressed because there were so many other games that were coming out. I was like looking at the new Halo trailer, and I was like, oh wow, that's amazing. Of course, I wasn't playing video games at that point. Or at least I wasn't playing like Halo at that point because reasons. But I remember seeing Minecraft. I'm like, why is it all blocky? And then I saw like they had Dynamite, and I'm like, okay, this might be a good game. They might have something, but I kind of just slept on it. Like I didn't see any progress or anything about it. I guess really, I just kind of ignored it until my cousin was playing it, and there's animals suddenly, and I was like, well, okay, that's kind of neat. I guess, you know, they gotta do something to make up for the fact that all they have is blocks. And then, I don't know, I guess it was college, I saw somebody playing Minecraft, and I remember it was like a sea turtle or something, and some other, like, animals and some crazy different things that, like, I was like, huh. Maybe Minecraft has gotten like a lot more advanced than I thought it, you know, ever would be. And then my roommate he didn't start playing it. He started playing it in the room, and he showed me what he had made over like a period of years. And I was thoroughly impressed, so. While I still do not play Minecraft, I no longer discount its validity as a game. Because, like, I didn't even know it had music, and then, like, there was music that was playing. When my roommate was playing the game, I was like, this is, like, really, like, peaceful and cool. And he's like, yeah, they've had music for forever. And I'm like, au contraire, they did not in 2010. Or at least wise I didn't hear it. Okay. I turned down the music a little bit. It got too intense. Chill out. I know you can't hear it. I'm gonna put music in probably on this video, but my music I'm not gonna play just because copyright. The old Taskmaster. Both of them are kind of scheming against each other. I keep flipping to this page like it's got answers. It doesn't. Alright. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14? 13, 14. So we've had 14 panels of fighting, so yeah, we need to transition, because it's 35, so they need to get into the mission now. So they need to hit the streets. I need to show them and both of their methods of finding information. So I think what I'm going to do What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to give Eric a loss now, because Efeldrin is definitely more sociable than he is. Even if she was terrifying initially in the first chapter, she's going to be a bit more charming now and get some more success than he does, which will frustrate him. So I need to show them. They need to walk down the street, but they need to do it in an interesting way, and they need to do it in a way that shows that they do not like each other. Because that's the thing. You can't. With the way that people walk communicates, the way that people talk to each other communicates, every bit of body language communicates. And so you need to keep that in mind as you're drawing. Okay. Let's get them on the street now. Oh, another new addition. I picked up a Future State Batman. Also for, like, nothing. And I've been using him for posing Eric recently. And it's like... I wouldn't say perfect, but, like... Honestly, one of the... When I was designing Eric, like, I had a difficult time thinking to myself, okay, but, like... What is his body type? What kind of gear does he carry and such like that? And I kept using like this art by Dan Mora to look. Dan Mora, not Moira. To look at how I wanted Eric to look and move, and I kept like finding his Batman concept art, and I was like, it's good. It's just not what I want, because I don't really need him to be straight up Batman, because he's not. He's not like a martial artist or anything like that, but what he is someone who has a lot of gear and maybe you know just similar shapes to this version of Batman. And so like as soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, that's it. That's the one I'll use for Eric. And that's worked out pretty well. The only thing that I have to complain is like his face is like I don't know, yeah, you can see it here. He's like very intense compared to like what I want for him in this particular scene. So it looks like he's just like, but like in reality he's just like, we need to do, they need to, find the whoever's worked the deal or the ritual with the devil in the town. I should really look up whoever that devil's name is. It's not in that script. Or that one. This is for this video, actually. His videos are scripted? Yeah. Isn't that pathetic that this is what you get even when I write a script? Alright, so I want him kind of walking like that. Can't really see because I'm putting him down so I could pose a Feldrin's character. McFarlane has like a track record of not having the best female models. I agree with that. I don't know, I'm about to get a she-spawn in the mail. To maybe that'll be a little bit better because it's, you know, one of McFarlane's characters, but I will say, like, this one's pretty alright. I think it's not, like, the best. There's definitely some stuff that they could do better. But as far as what I need it for, which is just, again, visualizing rough ideas. Because I think I'm going to have her, yeah, she's just like mocking him probably. Yeah, so she's gonna be like, we'll have like a nice transition page. So 35 and 36 will take us down. I can just swap this out. Ah, no. It's too new for that. Let's just draw over it. So it's the early AM. People are out. Stuff is going around. I need a closer building, but that Feldron's gonna be like kind of chest puffed out, arms back. Like, what do you mean? You don't think I could talk to these people? I think it'd be funny if, like, in the background, there was, like, the collapsed church from the first. I keep bringing up that church over and over again. If you haven't read the first issue, Feldron essentially explodes into town, fights a pack of demons, and then blows up a church. And just kind of walks away like nothing happened and is like, oh, that's okay. But I think it'd be funny if... I keep putting it in the background anytime she's just like, what, I'm charming. And genuinely she would be if she hadn't been the one to, like, cause that level of havoc. So he's going to be walking with purpose. With terror. Boss. The reason I think that I'm working so slowly on this, one, I'm on camera and I'm trying to demonstrate what I'm doing. Two, I usually write scripts in the car. Not when I'm driving, when somebody else is driving. Because, like, I don't drive everywhere I go. Sometimes I have a drive. No, like, there's, other drivers in the house, so I just let them drive. And I'll sit in the back and I'll just write these out sometimes. Because if I ever quote unquote run out of ideas, I'll just look outside and usually my inspiration will come back. That's why, like, a lot of times in the summer or when it's warmer, I will go out and I will walk around and I'll figure out the story in my head, then come back in and write the script. Can't really do that on camera, so it's one of those things that I kind of have to adapt for screen, but then also, like, getting used to sitting down and just working hard on one thing is good practice as well. Alright, panel 36. It's time to do this montage. I think we're going to do this montage and we might be done for this video. Just because we've covered kind of a lot of... we covered a fight scene, we covered kind of talking, and I've just been rambling for like 2 hours, so I don't want to waste any more time. I mean, unless this is entertaining as all get out for you. Do you want to tell me that in the comments section? Then I'll make more of these. I joke, but genuinely, if I see somebody... I had one person suggest, hey, can you put up, like, no time-lapse videos for some of your artwork? I would watch those. I enjoy those kind of videos. And it's like, I don't want to be a pushover, but at the same time, I'm a very small creator. I'm like, yeah, sure. So I did. And those videos get a decent amount of views, I feel like, because, there is a market for it. Or not a market. There's an audience for it. It's just not what I expected, but because again, somebody asked. Ye have not because ye ask not. That's, I feel like, something that's a mantra I've lived by for a while. Didn't have a job for a long time. Asked my old mentor from my college days, who was really my boss for a while, and then he went and freelanced for himself. I was like, do you have any work? Do you have anything, dude? That's like, I'm kind of starving. He was like, yeah, we have this like really complex job that you've actually done pretty much before, so you would be perfectly suited for it, with a lot of hours and a lot of complexity, so that your mind would be engaged, but then also you would be engaged creatively in the fields that you studied in college. I was like, okay. It's just like, very blessed by that, but it was just one of those deals where it's like, I probably could have been working months before that had I just tried to contact him. So, ask for things. Don't demand them. Ask. And make good contacts, because, if you're a jerk to your boss, that might be the guy that gets you a job later in something that you actually want to do. So right now I'm drawing with reference again. I don't know. Yeah, you can see it when it's like here. Doesn't really matter because I'm kind of scribbling. But I want to show Eric trying to talk to somebody. And this is going to be I'm sorry, I should have explained this. This is going to be a montage where they're essentially trying to investigate and not interrogate, question people about who might have made a pact with the devil. And Eric is going about it in a way that's kind of, his own way and clinical and whatever. But if Feldrin's going to go about it in a way that's a little bit more, flirty and flamboyant like she does, because that's kind of her thing. I'm trailing off because like 3 things happened while I was talking. All of them were because I'm apparently ADD when I work on camera. Or maybe I'm just ADD in general, but then recording it like brings it out even more. No, Feldrin's got this whole, she kind of has to be seen. It's essentially because in the Blood Veil, she's like, not the weakest warrior, obviously. If she was the weakest warrior, she'd be dead, but like, she has her position because she was essentially born into it. And she feels like she has to prove herself constantly to, the Blood Veil, to herself, to everybody she works with. And it's just, for her, it's tough because in the underworld, everything's dialed up to 11, everything is intense. So she also has to match that, but she doesn't want to necessarily be a monster. And she is still kind of craving the need to feel wanted, I guess, would be that need to be needed. So that's, you know, that's why the way she is the way she is, why she, you know, she's also, you know, not physically as strong as everybody in the Blood Veil. So like sometimes, you know, you can't fight your way through, but maybe you can talk your way out of or seduce your way through a situation. And she understands that. She knows she's attractive, and she knows she can use that, so she does. But it doesn't quite work for her in the material realm at this point, considering that, well, again, the whole church thing that she blew up. And the demons she killed in the middle of the street. So here I've got Eric, and I'm just having blah, blah, blah. Let's see, what panel is this? It's panel 37. 37. Need to show Feldrin getting bored with Eric. But I don't want to eat up all of these panels, so... I didn't say anything because I thought I was gonna throw this away, but like, what if she's like just literally on a bar, like, you know, when you're a kid and your parents are shopping and like you're just kind of like leaning, well, maybe not still now, but like when you were a kid, you just kind of like leaned up against like the cart, like, can we go? That's what I want to do for Feldrin. Like, she's just like up on like an actual bar somewhere. She doesn't have any food. Her stomach is growling. And she's just bored by Eric's like attempts to just reason with people. Okay, fun thing, paneling trick. When it comes to furniture, and it's a flat surface like this, like the bar, just make it a panel line. I use it every time. It's like if I've got a panel here, and I've got a panel here, and I know there's a table in this panel, the table just becomes the panel. Like the edge of the table, or the edge of the bar. Same deal with, like, if I have a conversation, say I've got a person here, and I have a person on the other side of the table, instead of just like having it table, you could also do something where it's like, maybe you've got the table like this, and it's above them, and then below them as well, and you can leave this gutter here blank, but that way it's like almost an unbroken scene, and it shows. The table itself provides kind of like a compositional element that's more interesting rather than just being a set piece. Sorry, I nerd out about these things because I don't know, I like making comics. In case you couldn't tell, I enjoy it mildly. So, Eric's talking, Feldrin's bored. I want his word bubbles just to come down. Like all the way down here. gonna have her squatting, like just bored, leaning up against a wall. Or what'd be a cool town piece of architecture for her to be on? Like a signpost? Yeah, what if it's a signpost and like Eric's reading from it up here? And like everyone, every single scenario is going to have an excuse for why she needs to be there. But essentially, it's because Eric, he's not afraid of demons, but he also knows that like he's smart enough to know that if he goes around asking about demons, they're going to find him and kill him. So these three panels, I think I've got the idea of Ephedrine sitting there bored, Ephedrine noticing maybe an underground tavern, and then Ephedrine looking back with like a mischievous little, like, evil smile. That'd be kind of fun to draw. And essentially, she's gonna go bar hopping while he's trying to take the safe routes and the hidden alleys and stuff like that. So he's... Let me just make a note. I noticed when I was rewatching the first part of this that stuff that I talk about, I don't always write down on camera. And so then when I was rewatching, I was like, oh, I should add that to the script. So I was rewriting a lot of things that I had talked about, I just hadn't written. It's fine. Ephedrine ditches. It's 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Where are we? We got 20 panels left. The thing with webcomics is you are limited in the sense that you can't just expect a page to bail you out, because on a page you've got like 9 potential panels. Whereas like this, you have the panel and that's all you have because, again, limited size on a phone. So I've got to be smart about how I use my panels, even though I just kind of throw them out willy-nilly. So let's have Eric kind of ticked off. You can't find her here. Just have like a 1 hour later. Just like a little bit of time jump here, which probably means we're gonna have like a decent gap between these two. I think I'm gonna do like 3 types of transitions here, where we go from like a Feldrin smiling to an hour later, Eric running, Eric wondering where she is. Like, where could she have gone? I can't believe she's so stupid. Why, you know. And I know I said this was a loss for Eric, as in like, he's not the smartest guy here. But that's the thing. He's not losing because of his inadequacy. He's losing because he doesn't understand that a Feldrin's an asset. He's not actually... He doesn't understand her as a person. He doesn't get her. Neither of them get each other. So because of that, you know, they could get this wrapped up in like an afternoon, but they're not, because they're clashing. They think they know what's best. They think they know what's best, and they need to, you know, push the other one to the side. So that's why we've got like Eric getting abandoned, and then he's running. He's like, where is she? And then it's him with like a flat, like, wow. And this is where I want like the atmosphere to change. I like using these little bubbles to kind of like transition into like different color palettes. When I go to digitally color, I guess I should say, but I can represent them a little bit here to show there's like a big, just suddenly. So we go from him running to his reaction to realizing what he's found. He's like, where could she? And then he's like in there and he's like, B. This is where she is. I don't know how much my voice has changed, in the sense of like from this recording to the other, but I do have a little bit of a cold, which is why I've had to pause a couple of times. That, and I needed to eat. Usually I can just go, but the weather's changed so much that my system has not kept up with it very well. All right. Goes there. Does that. Is this still long enough for the montage? 1, 2, 3. You'll still be talking. I think the best way to get this montage across is if we have more panel lines. I grabbed my old pen. Where's my new pen? Probably still use the old pen. Get the other colors down. Or I could swap out. It's the same thing. I could probably just swap out the insides here. Didn't think about that. Oh well. Yeah, basically Eric's gonna be like the tryhard. He's kind of like, if you've ever played well, any game ever, but yeah, you go to game night and there's that guy that knows every rule and every like hack and every like build for a game and makes super long videos about why this build of a character is better than this build and stuff like that. It's like super annoying because it's like you're not even playing the game anymore. At that point, you're just, you know, organizing something. And for some people, that's how they play games. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with them. It just clashes with, like, you know, a Feldrin's type of character where if you went to game night and she was there, she would be the one that's like, she brought snacks. She's eating everybody else's snacks. She's having a good time, even if she's not playing or winning the game. Like, not a chaos gremlin, for sure, but definitely one that, like, wants to win the game, but isn't super invested. Like, if she loses, she'll, you know, make you play the game that she's good at. I don't know if there's, like, a trope name for that. I'm sure there is. I just don't know what it is. Or what it would be called. Maybe there's like a little sign here that lights up with magic to advertise the bar. The underground. Which all that bar is just like, it's a way of escape for a Feldrin from her boredom. Or so it seems. But then we'll get to the next page where we'll show... I don't know any sticky notes. We'll get to where we'll show her actually getting information. It's time for everybody's favorite part of this video. Me putting sticky notes on a page very slowly because I want them to be straight. I set out we were gonna do like this montage and be done. But, I mean, how much battery do I have left? Like those British guys in those old movies. Poppycock. I could go longer. I could go longer. I don't know if you can go. If you're watching this on YouTube and you're just like, I feel bad for him because he's a small creator and I want to, you know, finish the video, but I'm getting really bored. I get it. I understand if you want to, you know, tap out. That's fine. There's more interesting people you could be watching, but if you truly enjoy this or are getting anything out of it, I'm glad for you. But also, I get it if you're bored. 41. Why is it 41, 42? It's 40, 41, 42. 43. 44. 45. I should make these notes before I turn the page. There's a gauntlet I kind of have to run here for both of them, where they both need to be not terrible people, but maybe not great to each other. And that can be a little bit difficult. Alright, we've got a Feldrin in the bar. I have a 3D model of a pretty cool looking club, bar, something. That's fine, I'll look it up later. What if she's like... Oh, what am I thinking of? I think it might be Oliver Twist. I don't know. I think my sickness is getting worse. Apologies. No, the idea that I had was like maybe like, oh, that might be Tangled, where like she's like standing up on the bar in the middle. What if she's like, so wait, he's in the center. We're gonna scroll down. So what if we have Eric here, kind of like annoyed, and then she's over here on the bar. I keep saying bar. I think I want it to be more like a club. Not like a club, like one of those like classy smoking clubs or something like that. And she's talking to a guy who's giving her a drink. And there's a guy behind the bar. And he's also making her a drink. And there's another guy. And despite her weighing like maybe 90 pounds, that's not true. She probably weighs a little bit more than that. I don't know how much because I don't really care at this point. But essentially, it would be funny if she was like, "Oh, hey, Eric." Yeah, that'd be funny. She shouldn't say Eric. She should call him some stupid nickname. I'm gonna make a note of that. Nickname, not Eric. Where was I? What was I saying? What was happening? I said something before I nickname. I don't remember what it was. I feel like when I go through and I rewatch all of this later, it's just going to be like me darting from one conversation topic to the other. That's what I get when I record when I'm sick. Such an idiot. Anyway. We want to show... Oh, I remember. She's not like a drunk. Like as in like she doesn't have 3 sips of alcohol and then immediately gets drunk. She's also not like somebody who's like addicted to alcohol or whatever like that. Again, she's from the underworld, so she's used to, you know, partying hard. But at the same time, that kind of makes her look like... What's a good word for it that isn't completely derogatory? I guess a party girl. Like, it makes her look like she's... You know, she's hanging out in a club with a bunch of people, and she's sitting up on the bar, and she's, you know, talking, and, you know, camaraderie, and having a good time, and all that. But she's... Again... She needs attention. She has to have attention. That's just who she is. Sorry, I just had an idea for a potentially really stupid and difficult scene, but I want to try it. Should probably talk it out though. Okay, in my mind, I don't know if this will work, so I'm going to sketch it over here. Sketch it on the actual thumbnail. In my mind, there's like a bottle. Oh, that's kind of cool, because that could be like part of a foreground element in here. And then, like, a distorted Eric's, like, on this side of the bottle, kind of like looking down and scolding and talking to a Feldrin, like, why are you here? What is going on? What is that? And then a Feldrin's like here at the other part of the bottle, where there's like maybe some liquid or something, and she's like just having fun talking with Eric. Sounds like they're reflected in the bottle. He's like, it's still early. Why are you, doing this or whatever? And again, look what I'm doing. I'm taking the table or the bar, and I'm putting the bottle near the edge so that the edge can become my panel line. It's as simple as that. Suddenly, I have a natural break in the comic that provides a nice flow. Oh, I got another message. That is a meal call. Okay. I'm gonna cut, because I've got to go get something. But I'll be back. Don't know if it'll be tonight, but I'll be back. Okay, so basically, I tried to record last night, and then a bunch of stuff happened, and I was more sick than I sound right now, probably, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna explain what I drew last night. I'm gonna finish up this page, maybe a little bit on this page, and then I'm just gonna finish it all on my own time, because for some reason this is like the worst week to record. Like, I honestly thought that, like, I was like, oh, I'll just do the rest of it. No, it's not gonna happen. So let's get through this. I hope it's worth it. I hope you're enjoying this. If you are, please do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe. No, really, honestly. I enjoy making this even if nobody watches, but it does help if you do those things. And by help, I mean not financially, because I'm not at the point where I can monetize anything, but it does help me personally to keep making things, because then I get to hear from you and I get to know what you like and what you don't like. But anyway, let me explain what I did. So I drew this bottle, and it's got them, their reflections in it. So they're somewhere, at the bar, and they're talking. And the idea is, essentially, they're going to be kind of warped in the bottle, but there's going to be a lot of conversation around them. This way, I can have a lot of word bubbles without having to worry about crowding the panel, because the only thing in the panel is going to be this bottle with, like, representations of them, so I know which side they're on, but it really doesn't matter about details or anything, or even the background. So then, the bar's going to continue down this way, and the light's going to be shining through the bottle, and kind of like that effect that you see if you put like a prism on a table and the light shines through it. Well, not a prism, but just any glass object, and you kind of get like a shadow, but the shadow is like kind of lit up. So we're going to have like this green kind of Coke bottle effect on the bar here, where Efeldern's going to be describing what she figured out. And she just figured out, she's narrowed it down to who it might be. So then I want to show her kind of smug in this panel, just kind of like leaning like that. And I like this way of leaning it, because back to Z pattern, we're going to have back and forth here, straight down. Now we're going to do this, and then I think we'll lead in like so. But basically, she's been in this bar, or this pub. Let me turn on the music a little bit. When I work on these, I always have music. When I work on anything, I always have music on. So that's not why I trail off sometimes. Actually, it helps me stay focused. I would trail off even more if I didn't have music. Basically, she's like, not just a pretty face, huh? This is panel 49. Ooh, that's not a good sign, because we've only got 10 panels after this. Oh, that's 2 pages. Should I put them out now? No, not yet. See, like 2 pages, and I'm thinking like, oh, I could show that. I could record that. No. I do not have the time, apparently. Without context, for reference, this morning I was going to work on this, and I was just about to hit record, and then I had to go deliver a vehicle to somebody and pick up a vehicle from a magician from Cincinnati. No context, I'm not telling you. So for this panel, before I had a drawing of her where she was getting dragged from the bar just as like her food came or something like that. But I want her to look, she looks drunk, but in reality, she's tired. And we want to come back to that later in the next issue, so I'm going to say that's going to be a chap 4 problem. What I mean by that is, so Eric comes in, she looks like she's drunk, but in reality, the swill she's drinking here, she can't really, like she can get drunk from it, but like she hasn't, because it just looks like, you know, she's had a lot of free drinks and that, you know, she's a lightweight. And she is, but just not to this, because one, she was looking for information, so she knew not to get drunk. And two, you know, she's from the underworld where the booze is much more potent. So I want to try to remember to talk about that when they're in conflict again. That or later into the chapter, I don't know. I'll just write, explain. Because they will have conflict in this chapter. Hopefully, if I don't run out of pages. Am I going too slow? Should I just cut to where she's getting dragged from the bar? I don't know, though, because it's like we do get like a good... It's kind of neat because like you can feel all of the sticky notes just on this side because they're all lined up. I wish I could pass it to you and you could feel it, but it's kind of neat because it's just like a million sticky notes all on this one side. So it just kind of sticks up a little bit when I try to grab it. It's satisfying. So let's say she... Like, we have a reaction panel from Eric, which is just where he's, like, kind of annoyed at her. I don't want him to be the bad guy, though. So he needs to... He needs to get some good points in this one. He did save her life, though, so there's that. Off camera, when I'm not doing this, I'm also typing out these things. So, like, if I know the panel's good, I'll just go on and I'll type it out in the scripting section, which will be either another video or in the video that will be linked in the description. But essentially, goodness gracious. I love jazz, but sometimes like the freestyle just gets way too loud for working. But essentially, I've kind of typed out the wins and losses and the conversations pretty much up to like this point in this page. because I would have done it after I was done, but I was spending so much time trying to record this. So I need to come up with, let's see. Eric started out, let's do it in red. Eric started out, kind of looks like he's running away. He saved a Feldman's life. He won the argument. He drug a Feldman through town. Yeah, I guess he's just gonna lose this one. There's no witty comeback. Eric has to admit he's wrong. So let's see. They started in the morning. This is probably like lunch-ish. So they're now serving lunch. Why is that important? Well, Efeldrin is still running on empty. So she's just been trying to get food. So she could get some energy. But Eric's just been going because he's used to, being on the road and starving. So we're going to have change that angle just a little bit like so. We're going to have Eric kind of grab Efeldrin by the arm and be like, come on, let's go. Because he's like, probably at this point, because that was the point I was going to talk about. Because I've typed all these out, I know where the captions are, and right now we're in Eric's perspective. By captions, I mean like the thought bubbles. So the narration, the style I've done it for this, and I'll talk more about this in the scripting side of this video, but the narration has, for the first issue, it was pretty much just a narrator and then a little bit by Efeldrin, and then the second one was like a lot just straight up Eric. And the reason for that was because both of them are kind of different with their internal monologue, where like Efeldrin is like, her issue is very action packed and very much she's distracted from allowing her thoughts really to show up, hinting at some of her insecurities, whereas in Eric's chapter, I keep wanting to say episode, Eric's chapter, he has a lot more internal thoughts and he has a lot more considerations, so there's a lot more of him talking. So in this one, it's kind of back and forth, where you have Efeldrin and her thoughts versus Eric and his thoughts, because we also want to show in this one, like we said in the summary I put somewhere, but basically in our timeline, one of the biggest things that we have to have is they have to be conflicted and contrasting each other the entire time, because one thinks the other thinks like this, the other one assumes this about the other one, and that's the biggest. The theme of this is assumptions. That's what this is like, oh, okay, and we're trying to get out of the way all the assumptions that people have about these characters and introduce them how they are. Or begin to introduce them how they are, because in chapter 4 and 5, that's where I really want them to start actually beginning to work together and actually beginning to have great character moments that, gives the reader and the viewer the idea of, okay, now I can see what they want to do, and now I want to read this and I want to pick this up. That's where I'm at. So right now, we're still in Eric's head. So I want him kind of 51, 52. Oh, I'm eating through these panels. Eric's. Hey Ruben, why don't you describe what you were thinking right there? Sorry. I'm not acting when I like look up and I'm like, actually, I am, but like for myself. I'm not like acting for camera. I when I get a thought, instead of just letting it kind of pass through, sometimes it takes, you can just physically kind of think about it for a moment. For me, what I just considered was, so Eric's curse is related to essentially the sins that he's absorbed as a sin eater. So what if he has like 7 deadly sins that are like the primary source of his power? So each, like all of his spells are connected to the 7 deadly sins, which I hadn't written out yet, but that would be a cool thing to write out. That would be a cool arc for him to go through. I mean, I'd have to figure them all out, but that would be cool. If, like, each of them had their own respective, like, enhancements, but also drawbacks. So, like, wrath or rage or, I think it's wrath. Yeah, it's wrath. I read Full Metal Alchemist. I know what it is. I also watched Seven, which is also a good movie. Well, it's a good movie in the sense of storytelling. It's a movie that, is dark as all get out. So maybe don't watch it with your girlfriend for just like a fun Saturday night thing to do. So his wrath is building up, so that can kind of like change. So maybe it looks like he's mad, but he's not actually mad. He's like, we need to go. He's not mad at her. He's just mad. So he's like, he needs to leave the scene, but he also doesn't want to. That's a cool way of breaking it down. I already had an idea of like how his curse affects him, but that's something that I can use in a much cooler narrative way. Yeah, so he grabs her by the arm. So we need to go, and then Ephaldrin's hand is going to get grabbed right here on this last panel. Bye, thug. Eric, who is cursed, built up. Sometimes, let me put it this way. I do not recommend writing how I write, in the sense of come up with stuff for your characters while you're writing, the second issue they show up in. But don't establish your characters so much that they can't grow. So that's something that you'll see with like Western comics versus anime and manga. Well, specifically manga. Anime is animated. It's just set in tandem so much. But the main thing that I'm trying to say is, okay, so Superman does not get new powers, or if he does, it's like kind of controversial and they get written out later because people don't really like them, like the solar flare that they did in was that Brian Michael Bendis's run? I don't know. I wasn't reading at that point. I had stopped earlier, but well, yeah. So, but basically Superman has, you know, flight, X-ray vision, and, you know, whatnot. That's what he has. He doesn't get new powers. Whereas you look at a character like Ichigo from Bleach, and he gets, you know, gets Gotenshou, he gets the final Getsuga, he gets Bankai, he gets all these other things, and that, like, enhances his character as he goes. And Tite Kubo probably didn't sit down and say, okay, this is the order of, like, the powers that he gets, and it relates to the story and whatnot. That's not the case. He probably thought of it while he was working or while he was writing. My point is, for something this big in the character, for me to suddenly say, oh, all of his powers relate around the 7 deadly sins, it's a bad habit to have. So you don't want to be like, oh, I'll just wait till later, I'll figure it out. That's what I do. A lot of times when I'm sitting down, I'm trying to figure out the powers, I'm just like, I'll figure it out later. Like Efeldrin's, like, magic, you know, I figured that out over a period of weeks, and writing the character out, because I've written out quite a bit for her. But Eric, I've worked a lot with the aesthetics, and I've worked a lot with his ideas and his personality, not so much his magic, because I had just kind of this nebulous idea for it. It wasn't incomplete, but it wasn't as well put together as Efeldrin's. So I'm kind of paying the price for that now. And yeah, I don't know. I think he's still a good character, because honestly, like, when I'm writing for him in the script, his voice is so clear to me. And that's a sign of a good character. Because if you ever get to a point where it's just like, I have no idea what they would say in this scenario, you know, that's where you're at. You can misvoice your character, but you do not want to not know what your character would say, or have no idea, you know, or just be completely lost, because then you don't have a character anymore. It's time for the ritual. Everybody's favorite ritual, where I lay out sticky notes. I should tell a story or something during this time. I should have talked over this, but I didn't. So when it comes down to thumbnailing in general, this is a good stage, I'm realizing, for color. And I should take advantage of that. I think the way that I might edit this process, because I didn't start out immediately thinking, oh, you know, I'm going to take 5 sticky notes and stick them onto a page. It's going to be really annoying for anyone who watches the video of it. The process constantly evolves as I find more and more things that are useful to me or make sense to me. But I don't want to lose sight of why I do it this way. And the main reason is keeping it simple, but I think coming up with color composition earlier might enhance my coloring experience, so that I don't have to just rush and kind of figure out the composition on the fly, I guess. So 53. He's not that important of a character, so... Quick character design for the Brute. Or the, I'm not gonna call him the Brute. What name should I give him? Tavern Guy. Good old Tavern Guy. Do I want to look through Broken? Or do I want to look through this? I want to look through this. This is a good book. It's got pretty good character design. I say pretty good. It's very good. Oh, do they have this? No, they just have the color gallery because it's not volume 1. Because I couldn't find volume 1 because they didn't have volume 1 at the comic book shop, but that's okay. It's kind of on me. I need just a general shape. I could just start drawing it out. I don't have to have it perfect. Oh, but that mustache though. Look at that mustache. Copying. So, if I'm coming up with a character, because you're probably wondering what I'm thinking. A Feldern arm gets grabbed by this patron at the pub who's like, no, we're just like, leave the lady alone. We're having fun. And essentially it's going to cause Eric to lose it, and he's going to like show off his Sin Eater abilities kind of on accident. That's why we're sticking to the perspective of Eric. So that mustache, like, I think what I want to do for this guy's face is have like the mustache be like completely, like we're gonna Omni-Man his upper lip and like his lower lip. It'd be so funny. Like it's just mustache all the way down. There's just no mouth. Not like, kind of like how they have in Ghibli sometimes. But like instead of like just stopping at the lower lip, it just goes all the way down. It's not a beard. There's nothing here. It's just. I almost want to do that. I almost want to, but I don't think I can. Not as in I can't draw it, just like as in like I want to allow myself to. Because it's too funny, and it's like, if I was going to draw a character like that, he wouldn't be a throwaway character like this one. So there's the very badly but quickly drawn character. Oh, I want him to have tattoos. What would be like a cool tattoo for him to have? Give him a little teardrop. Yes, I know what that means. But still, it'd be kind of funny. Not funny. Nothing funny about that. It'd be... it would be funny to see in a fantasy world where... Just keep digging the hole. Just keep digging the hole. Alright, so for his clothes, I want him to be wearing, like, yeah, let's make him, actually, get rid of his neck. We're gonna kingpin him, like that, and he's just gonna have, like, these big arms. Sometimes, like, I get too tight with my drawings, and so, like, I've just gotta, like, get really sketchy with it, so I let go and I just let the pen do its thing, because you'll discover like all kinds of neat shapes that way. Oh, what if he had an apron? He was like the bartender. He's like, nah, she's bringing in all this entertainment, all these customers. So it'd be funny, yeah, she's like caught in the middle. Because you got to keep in mind, a Feldern can cut a person in half, but she doesn't have. That's because of magic. It's not because of her physical ability. So let's say bartender grab arm likes having customers. Yeah. Feldrin's gonna like turn and look, and then meanwhile Eric's over here and he's got her other arm and he's like, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. Is that even like an Incredible Hulk line anymore? Golly, I hope so. Because I remember like watching the original Incredible Hulk TV show with Lou Ferrigno, who I met at a Comic Con, which that's a funny story. I wasn't in line to meet him. Is Lou Ferrigno the guy I'm thinking of? Yes, it is. But I'm gonna Google it anyway. Lou Ferrigno. No. It's Ferrigno. Ferrigno? Anyway, the guy who played the original Incredible Hulk in 1977, I used to watch his show. It was rerunning because we didn't have like cable TV or streaming services back in the day. And even if we did, we probably wouldn't have them just because money wasn't really a thing. But I was at Comic-Con in Pensacola, and I was just trying to walk around. If you've been to the Pensacola where they have the Comic-Con there, Pensacon. I think this was in 2019 maybe? No, it wasn't. It was later than that. Maybe 21. Anyway, I was just walking around, and I got, like, you know, there's way too many people there for way too little space, and I kept getting, like, shoved around, and somehow I got shoved to, like, the front of this line that was in the middle of the comic center, and there was, you know, the Incredible Hulk. He was just kind of sitting there, this cool guy. I'm like, hi! And then I got shoved right back out. So it wasn't even like, you know, a really cool moment or whatever. It was like less than a minute. I just go like, poof. Oh, hi. Poof. But like, you know, we made eye contact and I think he said hi back. But it was just like, it was so funny because then later I texted and I was like, I'm at Lou Ferrigno. And they're like, oh, okay. I can't believe I can't pronounce his name. I saw it like every week, but his name was never Lou. It was the Incredible Hulk. Anyway, Eric says you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. He doesn't even actually say that. Should talk less and work more. So then we're going to do a smaller panel where Feldrin's kind of like standing in between the two guys who are both holding her arms. And it's kind of a funny moment because up till now Feldrin's kind of proven herself capable of taking care of herself, and that's fine. She should have agency, and she should definitely be more than a pretty face. And she obviously is. I mean, like, she's the driving point behind this entire story. But something I wanna show. One moment, please. Edit that out later. Something I want to show is that, you know, she still is fun. Okay? Because a lot of times when you have, whenever, and I feel like this contributes maybe to the lack of some comic sales, where it's like, it's a female-led, you know, story. And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with female-led stories. Terminator 2, Aliens, well, pretty much the entire Alien franchise up until, like, I guess Prometheus, or, well, no, it's female. Anyway, it's like, and, you know, several other examples, Lara Croft. All of those, you know, female characters are very cool. They're very strong. They have interesting arcs, but they are still interesting characters to be around, and they're still fun. They're not like so much of what we see today when you have a female character where we think in order for her to be independent and have agency, she also has to be a jerk to everyone around her, especially men or women or, you know, anybody that disagrees with her. I want to make a Feldrin, you know, a fun character to be around, even if she's maybe annoying or, you know, prickly at times when it comes to, you know, things she doesn't understand. And that's the thing. I want her to be a character that's fun to write, not just a power trip for me. Okay? Like, I personally, you know, am not a, you know, I do not come from the Underdark. Or sorry, I can't say Underdark. The Underworld. D&D owns Underdark. I can't say I come from the Underworld and have, you know, pointy ears, white hair. It's like I can't identify on that level with a Feldrin, which, according to Hollywood, means that I shouldn't read this comic. But that's, you know, I can identify with some of the other things that I'm writing in a Feldrin, obviously because I'm the author, but I want other people to have that connection as well. So I'm not trying to ostracize anybody in the writing of her character. So panels like this, where she's just kind of being like, it's almost like a trope where it's like in like a romance novel where it's just like, no, pick me, but instead it's just like an absolutely violent conflict that's about to explode, and she's caught in the middle, and she's like, oh. Oh shoot, what if I scooted this up here? That would be better, so then it's like boom boom, and then I can have $54, this would be 54, this would be 55. And why do I harp on that? I think there's been so much bad blood with female main characters that people are afraid to either write female characters a certain way, and I think even more people are annoyed by female characters and how they're written, so they don't want to pick up those comics. So I want to write a character, not just a female character. I want to write a character that is interesting and fun, who happens to be female and have all these other traits. That's where I am with this. I don't know if I summed that point up before I started thinking about something else, but that's what I wanted to convey. I would like to, in the patronage back here, have like a bunch of like Snuggly Duckling patrons from the Tangled movie, so I have some references there. I think that would be fun. So he's gonna get grabbed by the throat, and this guy's got a knife. This is gonna be a quick little 2-second fight, but I think it's gonna get the point across. I hope it gets the point across. But like I said, we're gonna have Eric kind of lose it. So his eyes Do I have a Hulk comic?
I do, but I don't think he turns into the Hulk. Where is he? Why isn't anything organized? This is what happens when you let other people organize your stuff.
It's fine. I know how to draw bulging, freaked out eyes. I'm gonna break down. Oh no, because if I do it like that, I'll run out of panel spaces. Freaking chicken. 56, 57. Oh, yeah!
I'm at 57. That means I've got 3 panels left. I can't finish this in 3 panels. I don't want to finish it in 3 panels. All right. Let's talk about panel reduction. This is my least favorite thing to do. Because why am I so strict about staying 60 panels? The main reason is because 60 panels is about where 20 megabytes is, and 20 megabytes is how much space that Webtoons has for uploading. So that's kind of where I'm at for... Oh wow, these are a lot clearer than my earlier ones. I am getting better. 20 megabytes is like... That's your maximum amount that you can post. So if you get to... You have too many panels, you're not gonna be able to post your comic. And I don't want to divide this up. I could divide it in 2 parts, but I don't want to. I don't want to. I'm not gonna do that. So we could get rid of panel 1. Maybe. Just because it's just like, well, I mean, it's a good establishing shot though. And this is what I hate, because like I love working with these panels. And I love drawing the stories, and the composition is like, a lot of these are like interlinked, so it's hard to pick one or the other. It's not just like picking your children, it's like picking... Where's my... Oh, okay. It's more like picking... Stop playing with the microphone. It's more like picking which bits of the story you're going to keep and which ones you're not. And I want to have as many bits of the story as I can and show, you know, the reader all this stuff. And I think I've done a pretty good job of condensing it, but still. Tell you what. I'm not going to make you suffer watching me do this. I'm going to get this done. I'll get to the point where I get to. I'll get to where I get. And I'll either reduce it, or it'll just be a longer chapter. Yeah. I'll figure it out. It's okay. This is what happens when you freak out sometimes. Just lose all sense, and you need to take a chill pill. Which you can already tell I'm kind of ADD about this, so I have a 3D bar already that I want to show for this, so I'm just gonna have... How do I want to do this? Do I want him to be like a Venom? Oh my goodness, I was on Hasbro's site the other day, and they're like, oh look, here's the new Venom for Marvel Spider-Man 2, and it was like $60. I'm sorry, but like, that's way too, and like, don't get me wrong, it's an amazing, like, it's a great sculpt, it's, you know, big size, it's amazingly done, but it's also like, I don't know, $60 is way too much for me. I'm sorry. I think the toy industry has just exploded because of the all the political stuff, obviously, and things just costing a ton because they can, not because they need to. Because it's like, look, if you put out a Venom with that amount of, you know, detail and scale and accessories and stuff like that out there for like, I don't know, half that price even, like, you don't have to be radical about it. Just, you know, keep your normal figures at around 15, 10, and then your special figures at about 25, 30. And at that, even then, you know, that's a lot, but at that point, you know, then you can actually have like, people will purchase it. Like, there's no question that people will buy a Venom model, and that is why it is priced $60. But at the same time, there's no reason to charge $60 just because you know that somebody will pay it. It's like the mentality of like, oh, we have a high-priced burger, but because it's high-priced, somebody will buy it, or because it's premium. Rather than having a high-quality burger that's priced normally, and everybody can get it. Marketing 101 while I thumbnail. Well, not marketing, but just economics, I guess. So I kind of have him going like full Venom. But I want it to just all be like energy. The reason I was looking at a Venom model in the or a Venom figure to start with was I wanted a large figure that I could use for like bulky characters. And like McFarlane's are okay. Like, they suck when it comes to like movement. Or at least wise the ones I was looking at. And the ones I was able to like handle when I went to the comic book shop, I was like, these don't move that much. And they're like, no, not really. So I was looking at Marvel Legends, but a lot of them aren't that much better. But then I was like, okay, the Venom one, the Space Knight Venom, sorry, I don't know why I couldn't think of it. The Space Knight Venom isn't bad, but it's only comes in the Build-A-Figure, which is difficult to get because somebody had to pay for all those figures to build that figure, and now it's expensive. Or it comes in a 2-pack with Mania, which I've talked about in an earlier recording of this same video. So earlier in this video that I totally did in one take was the 2-pack with Mania. Sorry, I'm getting lost because I'm trying to figure out if I like this pose or not. I'm basically having him kind of like Hulk out, but he physically is not going to Hulk out. It's just going to be like a lot of like demonic energy all at once. Just kind of coming out of him, enhancing his strength, and it's fueled by his anger, so it's hulking out. But essentially the idea is, if he indulges in one of the 7 deadly sins too much, he'll have an overload of that power, and he needs to let it out, but he can't, because he also has to experience that level of malignant power that's within him. So he hates it because it's evil, but it's also, trying to kill him. So we've got 57, 58, 59. And I'll leave sticky notes like this sometimes out if I like the drawing, but that just doesn't go there right now. Or if I think I might change my mind later. Bow. So the real question is where do I stop the video now? Okay, I said that. And then my camera went... My GoPro, that is. So that's as good a sign as any, I think, to call it good here. I got pretty far in this. I think it's a little unfortunate that we had to end kind of on a cliffhanger where Eric's, hulking out, but I'll be covering this in other videos and for sure. And the comic will be out probably soonish by the time this comes out. I don't actually know because I'll have to look at my schedule. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you've watched all the way through, congratulations. You've officially watched probably the longest video I have on my channel. Not probably. This is the longest video I have on my channel right now. I hope this was helpful to you. I hope you enjoyed it. But I hope that you learned a lot too, because in only however long this video is, we were able to kind of cover, I feel like a good amount of the comic that I'm trying to work through here as much as I can on camera. But yeah, let me know if there's anything that I could do to make this better, or if there's any way I could be less boring or rambly. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe. Go make something awesome.